Hey everybody, welcome back to Reason Rises episode 2. I felt the need to record a bit of an intro for this one. This one's going to be with Lewis Davis. He's a longtime friend of mine. He's a QAnon believer. He is a MAGA guy. And, before I say any of this, I want you to see the contract that I have my guests sign. So here that is for you. You can pause if you need to see that more closely. But basically, I have a no editing policy, and I don't do that for myself. I do it for my guests. I do it because I have integrity, and I don't want anybody to ever be afraid of coming on my show because they're afraid that I'm going to cut it to pieces and rearrange everything or take things out of context or anything like that. So any conversation you ever see on this channel is going to be, or here on this channel, is going to be entirely uncut. It is the way that the original conversation happened. That's really important to me, and integrity is really important to me. But the fact of the matter is, this episode went entirely off the rails. Firstly, there's a big chunk of it that's 5, 6, 7 minutes long, where we were discussing, well, we were kind of discussing interest rates, the Fed, the national debt and deficit. When Lewis first brought that up, I was apparently off in La La Land thinking about whatever I was going to say next or something like that. And I entirely missed his point, even though he was very clear about what he was talking about. He was talking about the effect that interest rates set by the Fed can have on the amount of the national debt. I was under the impression that he was conflating what the Fed does with the national debt and the national deficit, which obviously entirely different things. But the point of the matter is that section of the conversation is basically useless because we were both having two entirely different conversations. Also, I feel really embarrassed that I lost my temper and that I kind of flipped out towards the end of the first segment, and I got way too emotional. That is the exact opposite of the point of this podcast. The point of this podcast is that I am supposed to be a reasonable person who hears all viewpoints, takes them in, has a reasonable discussion about it, and accepts that sometimes, people are going to have completely different opinions than I do. And I let it go a little bit off the rails. I am embarrassed about it. And long story short, I don't feel that this episode went well at all. I think it's worth watching, but I don't think it went the way that I want it or any of my episodes to go. I spoke with Lewis after the episode and I said, hey, I know I have a no editing policy, but the section on the Fed and whatnot, I really want to just cut that out because I'm worried that when I made incorrect statements, I might be giving people misinformation. And he said, that's fine. Go ahead, cut it out. And then, as I thought about it, I went, I can't do that. It's against my standards. It's against my rules. And it's not what my guests should expect of me. And also the part where I lost my temper, I'm just embarrassed about that. So then I talked to Lewis and I said, you know what? I think I want to re-record the episode. I don't even want to release this one because I'm just embarrassed by my behavior. And I want to give you more time, Lewis, to prep and prepare and to have better answers. And he said, great. Yeah, sure. We can re-record. He's the most reasonable dude ever. And I thought about doing all that. I thought about cutting the bit and releasing it. And then I thought about just not releasing it at all. But integrity really is very, very important to me. And if I'm going to get somebody to come on my show under the impression that it's going to be released no matter what, exactly the way that it was recorded, and then when I feel embarrassed, I decide I'm not going to release it, that's kind of a shit move. So here it is. Enjoy it. Understand that I was wrong at least 2 or 3 times. And I think the most important thing about the way that I do record and the way that I do release my episodes is that I and all of my listeners and viewers understand that I can be wrong and that I'm still going to release it, even if I look stupid, even if I look emotional, even if I look like I couldn't handle myself. So here it is. Please enjoy it. Get what you can out of it. There's another episode being recorded tomorrow, and that'll be released soon. That's going to be with a strong MAGA supporter and Charlie Kirk supporter. So I'm really excited about that. And, like I said, get what you can out of this one. And just know that I'm embarrassed about it and that I was definitely wrong for a good little portion of it, to say the least. But too fucking bad. You know, my rules are you get to see what was recorded no matter what. And I'm not going to waste Lewis's time by making him sit there with me for 2 hours and then not releasing the episode. So that's what I got. Please enjoy. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, most importantly, and even comment. Even if you think I'm an idiot, please feel free to say so. Thank you for your time. And without further ado, here is Reason Rises, episode number 2. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Reason Rises podcast. I'm Doug V., your host, and I want to give a very warm welcome and a very big thank you, an extremely big thank you to Lewis Davis, my guest, who, despite the fact that we are on kind of opposite ends of the political spectrum, has been so kind and so gracious as to come on and talk to me so that we can come to an understanding, which is kind of the point of this whole podcast. So, Lewis, I'm going to give it off to you so you can tell everybody who you are, what you do, etc.
Thank you so much, Doug. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you and your family are just doing remarkably well as your awesome businesses. My name is Lewis Davis. I'm a longtime Arizona resident, born in California. I also spent about a decade in Washington State. I am ex-military. I do have several college degrees, including business management and marketing. I've been in sales and marketing, timeshare. I've ran a phone room. I've been a Domino's Pizza franchisee. I've done numerous other things in my life.
I want to dive a little deeper into that intro, and what I'm doing on the side here is getting my paper for taking notes.
Oh, please do. I have mine right here.
Heck yeah. So you mentioned ex-military.
Yes.
Tell us your military. You were in Navy, right?
No, I was in the United States Army 1st Special Forces Group at Fort
Okay.
Lewis, Washington.
Okay. And
which will give me some unique insights to speak to you of many of the current things that are going on. I doubt they will come up in this conversation, but if there are things I'm not able to speak to, I'll just say I'm not at liberty to discuss that at this time.
I have a feeling that you and I will probably end up talking more than once.
I get that feeling as well.
Yeah. So, can you tell us anything about what the time frame was during which you served, and can you tell us what theaters you may have done anything in?
Yes, I was
as
never in
part of that
active duty
special?
combat. I did travel all over the world, mostly in Asia and many states in the United States. I served from 86 to 89.
Okay. And if you don't mind telling us, if it's too private, that's fine. But you mentioned you got several degrees. Where did you get those, and what are they in?
Well, they are associate degrees, and it was from Pierce College, Washington.
Okay. So the reason that I wanted to talk to you, and so you and I worked together a long time ago. I think it might have been even 15 years ago now, or 10, 15 years.
Time flies.
And yeah, and we also were close enough. I've been to your home. I've met your family. We've done some things off the record together.
Amen.
And had lots of fun and been very good friends. We drifted apart because we don't work in the same field anymore, but we have stayed Facebook friends, and that means I have access to all your posts. You all obviously have access to all mine. Excuse me. And kind of the reason that I wanted so badly to have you as a guest is the stuff that you post is almost always a share.
meaning someone else produced it, but you share it. And it's very provocative. It's the kind of stuff that is, and some of the memes that you post even say, like, let's keep posting stuff to piss off the libs, essentially,
There
paraphrase.
is definitely some of that.
Yeah. So I saw all this, and it's a lot of it is really inflammatory. A lot of it is accusatory, not directly towards me or towards anybody by name, but accusatory towards what you clarified the other day in one of your replies to one of my comments. I'm only talking about the general uh, liberal Democrats. And when you said that, it really irked me because you're trying to say who I'm talking about is the crazy people. But the way you worded it refers to me. I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, but I think there is a distinction that fails to get made in social media and the general media these days, clarifying your political bent does not necessarily say who you are as a person. I'm an Arizona boy, regardless of being a Democrat. I grew up around guns. I think it's weird if you have a drag queen reading books to children or doing dances in front of children. In my opinion, there's a scale of when it goes from being fun and funny and kitschy and explained by the parents, which is something I went through as a kid and it was fine, up to, okay, you're stepping over a line that's kind of disgusting. And so for me, I see life a lot in gray areas, and I see people with your bent having a real hard time seeing the gray and kind of accepting everything as black and white. So what I want to start with is, firstly, are you a QAnon believer?
I'm sorry.
The first thing is, are you a QAnon believer?
There are definitely some things in there that I believe in,
Okay,
but
and you
certainly not
would refer.
100%. And I do believe in gray, although many of my posts are black and white.
And you would openly say, of course, that you are a MAGA supporter, correct?
I would say I am a MAGA supporter, although I am a registered Democrat. Although the first president I voted for was Ronald Reagan. And in my
Hmm.
60 years, I have only voted for one Democrat, and that was the state controller in Washington state. And that was only because when I got out of the military and I went to the State Department to file my DD 214, he was there. Before he got
Hmm.
elected, I interviewed him. I liked him. I voted for him. The only other time in my life that I have not voted for a Republican was when I voted for Ross Perot.
As I would have if I would have been old enough. I was just talking about that during my prep. In fact, I worked for Ross Perot's company, EDS at Centrobe. Was one of my first jobs.
Oh, awesome. And then again, I
So
should say this: the reason that I am a registered Democrat, although I'm a Republican and MAGA, whatever you want to say, is so that I can get all of the Democratic information, and then my wife and I compare it with the Republican that she gets, and that's so interesting.
is she also the same political bent that you are?
Oh, absolutely, more so than
Okay,
me.
more so than you.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing I want to start with then, to get into that, because you have to understand from my angle, it's very difficult to understand how anybody could be farther than you. And I know that might be hard for you to internalize because you probably think of yourself as reasonably normal.
Oh, I would say
Um,
right middle of the road.
you would say that.
I would.
And I'm not at liberty to share everything that you post on Facebook. But
Well, we could
what
do
I'm
the
going to
Nazi
say is,
post where we had our little issue, which I did apologize, And
You did.
I would love to go over that. I think that'd be a great place to start.
We will get to that, and the reason that I took down my response to it was I felt that I was being overly aggressive towards you in public, and I didn't want to do that. I don't know if you even saw it, but I wrote you a two-page long response when you apologized. You said, "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding," or "I'm sorry that you misunderstood," is what you said. And I wrote you a very long post that said,
Oh man,
"There is no."
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know that I saw that. I only saw the first one, and then I apologized. I don't think I ever saw the other feed. Apologize for not reading.
No, no, it's not your fault, but I wrote a very long response, which basically started with, there was no misunderstanding. Anybody would understand it the way that you said it. And we will get into that. People are confused. Our viewers are confused. What I want to get into right now is in prep for this podcast, I looked through your Facebook. I'm looking at it right now on my phone.
Excellent.
You posted 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago. Every time I say this, it's a different meme. 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago. I can keep going, but it goes solid for 19 hours. Multiple memes per hour. And this is taking up a tremendous amount of your time. It seems to be what you're focused on, what you're passionate about, what you want people to hear and see. I can see that the privacy setting is basically all of your friends. 3 hours ago, 3 hours ago, etc. It literally goes solid, and this goes for days at a time. You're clearly spending literally all of your time looking these up on other people's Facebook or other websites, wherever you're finding them, and then you're sharing them. You have a tremendous amount of time that you're devoting to this every day. And here's something that I want to bring up right at the front. I'm going to ask a quick question. How well do you understand social media algorithms?
Not well at all.
Okay.
But so what I post, I end up getting back. So I actually do understand.
Well, I'm going to put my phone down. I want to prepare you for this because you might already know this. And if you do, then fantastic. We can continue on with the conversation as is. But there's a baseline that I really need to get out there and get to you. And I'm concerned that it may upset you. But do you realize that you've been shadow banned?
I don't even know what that is.
So the algorithm is designed to make sure that posts get as much engagement as possible, okay? That's how they make their money. That's how they spread advertising. So when you make a post, Facebook wants as many people to engage with what you said as possible. And engagement is a specific word that means a specific thing, either a like, a comment, a share, or a follow. Okay?
Okay.
So I've been looking through your posts going back quite a while. You have zero engagement with any of your posts at all. No likes, except when sometimes I will call you out on something or what have you.
Sure.
And that's the only reason that I see your posts, and that's the way the algorithm works. Since I comment on your posts every now and again, I do get notifications about your posts, and that's what spurs me to go look at them. But they don't show up in my feed. When I'm looking through my regular feed of just what's on my, what you would call your For You page, that's not what it's called on Facebook, but when I'm just looking through my news feed, I don't see any of your posts. I have to go look for them on purpose, or I have to click a notification. The fact that you have no engagement means you have been shadow banned. I can't see, if I wanted to spend all day long, I could go back far enough to find when you got shadow banned. But I can tell you that for at least the last 2 months, literally nobody has seen a single post that you've done on Facebook. You're yelling out into a void. Nobody is looking at anything you're posting because you've upset people, and I'm sorry to say that, but you have. And so they've decided they don't want to like, comment, or share your posts anymore. And everybody has decided not to do that anymore. When Facebook's algorithm sees that, they see that no one's interested in your content, and so they don't put it in anybody's newsfeed anymore. So it's there. I can go look at it on purpose. I can pull up your page and see all your posts. But other than that, you're talking to nobody. No one's seeing anything you post. And what scares me, and the reason I really wanted to have this conversation and why I'm so interested in understanding where you're coming from, is that you are spending a tremendous amount of time on this. You're clearly passionate about it. It's taking up literally every hour of every day that you're not working. And yet no one is seeing it unless I happen to engage with it. So when I do a comment, is one of the only mutual friends we have. That name will be bleeped, but she's one of the only mutual friends we have. So she gets a notification when I comment, and it says commented on Lewis Davis's post that you haven't seen. And so she'll click that, and she might make a comment. But other than that, other than me, which again will be bleeped, you're talking to nobody, and you're spending a tremendous amount of time on it. And that worries me a lot. You're my friend, and I care about you. I care about your family. I care about your success. And so whether you realized you were shadow banned or not, you are, and I want you to know that. What you should know is you would get a lot more engagement on X. So if you shift platforms and start posting the same stuff on X, you will get engagement. But Facebook is a place for community, and it's mostly these days older folks. Our teenagers are not using it anymore. So it's mostly folks who are 30 years old and above. And it's, there is plenty of political stuff, and there's lots of memes and all that stuff, but it's shared among like-minded people and family and friends and who have understandings. I think you found yourself in a place where your friends list, and I haven't gone to look how many friends you have on Facebook, but you found yourself in a place where your friends list is not interested in what you're posting. So my question at the end of that diatribe is, what are you trying to accomplish, assuming people were seeing everything that you post? Are you trying to change minds? Are you trying to change people's votes? Are you trying to make clear to people who you are? Are you angry at what's happening in the world and you're mad as hell and you won't take it anymore? Like, tell me why you post what you post so much, literally multiple memes per hour.
I'm trying to save the country and help the world by exposing the Democratic Party. That is
Okay.
my intention. I believe in God, country, and family. The Constitution is my law. And even though I'm a registered Democrat, I always vote Republican, I'm truly a constitutional libertarian. That is my party, and that is what I believe in. It's the things that I know that are happening in government led by the Democrats, but tons of Republicans. All of this information is coming out. It will all be exposed. And
Hold on.
yes,
Can you hold your thought for a sec?
yes.
Okay. They've been saying that for 9 years now. It's all going to be exposed, but nothing ever does get exposed. Don't you ever feel kind of like those people who say Armageddon is going to be on Thursday and then it doesn't happen, so they say it's coming next week, and then it doesn't happen, so they say it's coming next month?
Epstein putting people in jail. I have been saying it for 9 years. It does very much frustrate me. And I'm
But
just,
every time they try and expose, like let's go all the way back to Benghazi. That was a big deal, and they found nothing. Every time the Democrats are about to be exposed, it turns out there's nothing to expose. How many times does it have to fail before you say, you know what, I guess I was wrong. I guess they weren't doing what I thought they were. They're politicians. Politicians are always doing something wrong. But how many times does somebody have to say the Democrats are going to be exposed and then they don't get exposed because it turns out there was nothing there? It was a nothing burger. How many nothing burgers are you going to eat before you say there's nothing to this burger?
well, is it a nothing burger or is it democratic corruption? Also, we must remember the left wing and the right wing are both part of the same bird.
Go deeper into that.
Well, okay, let's just get in with the. I'm a conspiracy theorist, although all of my
Mhm.
conspiracies have, not all of them, thank God. And believe me, I've prayed that I am wrong. And although it seems to be a nothing burger, tens of thousands of pages have been released on the Democrat with some Republican corruption, all the truth that I've been talking about, QAnon. Tens of thousands of pages of evidence have been released, as well as.
What pages? What pages and what are they in reference to?
Okay, so um, let's start with 9/11. I mean, we can go back to 1913, 1971, that started our financial collapse.
Are you
1913,
talking about the getting away from the gold standard?
that would be 71.
Okay.
1913 would be the Federal Reserve. Do you
Okay.
understand the Federal Reserve is not a government agency?
Yeah.
And do you know how much interest we pay on our debt a year?
Well, I wouldn't go too deeply into that if I were you because you know what the numbers are coming out of both Trump administrations.
Well, we pay at least $1 trillion or more. Whatever you want to look at, it's the interest rate on 36, 32, 37 trillion dollars, whatever it is. We're paying
Are
$1 trillion in interest.
are you con are you conflating the Fed with the national debt and the national deficit? Because the Fed has nothing to do with either of those.
Oh, I believe you're completely mistaken.
I'm
So
not.
you're not.
No. What the
Well,
Fed does is essentially it controls inflation by controlling the amount of unemployment that we have. I mean, that's the basest way to say it.
okay, who prints the money?
We do, the Treasury. And the Fed. Yeah, you're correct. The
The
Federal
Federal
Reserve prints
Reserve.
the actual money.
Thank you. Who
And we
transports
could
the
print
money?
a trillion
Okay,
dollar coin.
now, with our debt, do you believe we have a national debt?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
believe it's grown tremendously under both Trump administrations.
As well as Democrats, it's absolutely ridiculous. We can talk about the trillions and trillions of
Actually,
dollars that
Clinton
Biden.
got us Clinton got us to a balanced budget.
And Clinton wasn't a bad president. And he did a lot of good things, mostly because he followed conservative principles like deporting illegal aliens, fiscal responsibility, cutting the debt, trimming government. All of these things Clinton did. But again, we have a huge disagreement, or we haven't gone through the one thing.
I'll let you explain. Go. I'm going to stay quiet. Go for it.
No, I want you to explain the interest because the Federal Reserve is not. The Federal Reserve is owned by the Rothschilds. Every country in the world, except for maybe seven, are controlled by the Rothschild banking. Some of the countries that are not controlled would be Russia, North Korea, Iran, or Iraq just got taken over. Oh, I did buy some Iraqi dinar. I think that's going to be a good investment. We shall see.
Okay.
But I mean, we just want to agree to disagree and move on, or
No, I want your explanation. That's what this whole thing is about, is to give people an
okay.
understanding of
So
what you think.
a a non a bank owned by the Rothschilds receives $1 trillion a year from the United States. Okay? Every country in the world does that, except for a few. That's why they always want wars, because you go into debt. So I'm saying the Federal Reserve is not part of the American government. It's a separate company owned by the Rothschilds. They control our debt. So we have money. The money goes to the Federal Reserve. They do whatever they do. Yes, they do inflation, this, that, the other thing. But the most important thing is they charge us interest, and that goes to the Rothschilds. That's all.
Okay, so where do you get this information?
I'm,
Now, firstly, so to be really clear, Lewis, as part of the document that you signed before coming on,
yes.
it stated that I may add fact checks.
Oh,
Okay,
oh, please do.
that's
Oh,
that's just
absolutely. I could be mistaken in some of those, but I
well,
truly
that's going to be. I
believe.
just want to be clear
Oh,
that there's going to
absolutely.
be.
Please, we can, we can fact.
It'll just it'll say community note at the bottom, and it'll have the clarifying. But just to clarify to you, so as far as the Fed, nobody really owns it. Okay, literally nobody. Definitely not the Rothschilds. The Board of Governors in D.C. is a federal agency that's controlled by Congress. Those are the people you voted for, as well as me. There's 12 regional Federal Reserve banks, and those are set up as separate corporations. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm checking myself just to make sure I'm not saying anything wrong here. So the stock is actually held by the member banks. The Rothschilds have nothing to do with it. The Fed, different corporations are owned by whichever banks are members of that Federal Reserve Bank. That stock can't be traded. It can't be used to control, and it just pays a limited dividend to each bank, which is controlled by statute. In other words, it's by law. You can't change it. It doesn't matter what any decisions get made. It's already set in statute. After expenses and dividends, most of the Fed profits go directly to the U.S. Treasury. In other words, you and me, the U.S. public. And anything about the Rothschilds owning it is just literally false. You can connect all kinds of dots to almost anything. I mean, I can literally, and this is off the top of my head. I could tell you right now that the sun is the size of a quarter and it follows me around, and the reason it disappears at night is because it's powered by a battery, and that battery needs to be recharged. And I can say that over and over and over and get into a world where that's what I believe, because I refuse to go and actually fact check my information.
Good
But
point.
what you just said is patently incorrect. So, and you're educated, you are loyal to the Constitution, you are former military, and yet you just said something that you admitted you're a conspiracy theorist, but there's conspiracy theories that are definitely true that even I believe in, for sure. And there's ones that are very easy to prove wrong. We all have Google, we all have GPT. You can you can find out the truth in 10 seconds. So what my listeners want to know really badly is what's the source, parentheses S, where you get the information that the Rothschilds control the Fed when there are literally thousands of member banks who hold the Fed accountable. I mean, they're the ones who collect the dividends, and they're the ones whose business, by the loans that they give out according to those interest rates, gets affected. Why would thousands of banks all run by Democrats, Republicans, independents in all different states with all different motivations. Why would every single one of them stay silent that the Rothschilds are actually controlling everything when we have access to the public data to see that that's not correct because it's a governmentally controlled agency.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So, are you
why
familiar with
where
Building
did you get the
7?
info? What's that?
Are you familiar with Building 7?
Yeah, from 9/11.
That is correct. Yes.
I don't see how it's connected, but we'll go to that next. First, I want to know what are your sources that tell you the Rothschilds own the Fed?
Um, that's just a crazy conspiracy theory. And I'm sorry that I brought that up.
Oh, okay. But you believe it, right?
Well, I believe there's 10 powerful families that control the world and they're into everything.
That's not a crazy conspiracy theory.
Oh, that's not.
Money controls,
I'm
no,
sorry?
money controls everything. We can get into, all kinds of crazy, meetings between billionaires and places where they meet in European countries and all of that fun stuff. Those meetings really do happen. There are conversations that happen on the sidelines. There are cocktails had. There are
Bilderberg,
relationships made.
whatever the
Bilderberg is a
places
great
in
example.
San Francisco.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the Grove. Yeah,
Thank you.
these places are real, and this Bohemian Grove, by the way, these
Epstein
places are
Island.
real. Epstein Island was a real place, is still a real place. Um, to think that these people don't sit on the sidelines and make deals and come to understandings and decide that they're going to make policy that benefits them is idiocy. Of
Okay, well,
course
that
they're
was the
doing
point
that.
that I was trying to make. Do I have exact
Sure.
proof
So
on that? I do not. I'm sorry. And I
so
could be very well mistaken on this, but the Fed is not a government. I'd like to do some more research. I'm not strong on this topic. I'll defer to you. And
Well, it's not owned by the government. It is an agency that has
it
to
is a private company. And who
it
owns
has
the
to listen to
private
Congress.
company? In the back, it's
Again,
the Rothschilds.
see,
That's
you're
what I'm
diving
saying.
right back into it.
I am.
So, number one,
Okay, I
number one,
believe in the back it's someone.
here's how it really works, and here's where we could maybe make your conspiracy work. I'll tell you why we could make it work, okay? So, the Fed is an agency that answers to Congress. Congress is accountable to you and me, no matter what, okay? So the Fed answers to them as a general entity. However, it's broken into 12 different corporations. Each of those corporations is owned by shareholders. Those shareholders are the individual banks, like the one that you go into when you need to cash a check. It is a member of one of the Federal Reserve banks, usually whichever one is most nearby. That bank is a part owner of that branch of the Fed, and it gets the dividends that come from any profit that that branch of the Fed makes. So, the way to make your conspiracy work is to say that the Rothschilds may own an inordinate number of those individual banks. Now, you'd have to go and find proof of that. I have no proof of that, and I'm not suggesting it's true. But that's a way to make your conspiracy work. So that's how we can kind of come to an agreement and a disagreement. As far as the idea that several wealthy families control the world, anyone who doesn't believe that isn't paying attention. I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory.
Oh,
And I don't think it's a dozen. I think it's several hundred. But
okay. No,
the
no,
fact
I
of the
totally
matter,
agree with that. And I can't remember what it is 5 to 12 main families:
yeah,
Rothschilds,
but
DuPont, Carnegie.
well, I want to be really now you're bringing up some old names, man, and it's Carnegie, but I
Sorry.
would really I those are some old ass names, man. Those
Rothschild's
are
pretty
people from
old
the
too.
these are people from the Gilded Age, some of whom don't even have money anymore. If you're talking about that whole group, you should be talking about the Musks. You should be talking about, the Trumps. You should be talking about the people who actually have power. However, When you have power, you can't hide it. It's impossible. If you have the power to control an agency or something that's going to affect the world or a big chunk of the population, you can't hide that. There are journalists who do incredibly valuable and sacred work for this country where they expose even the smallest conspiracy that might be real like that. And that's how we know the things that I'm talking about.
Okay, but we
Clearly,
know that the mainstream media, as far as Donald Trump, has told nothing but lies for 17 years. We know that the Steele report is made up. We know Russiagate is made up. All the proof has been released. We know that Obama and Clinton did that. Uh,
did what?
they started the Russian hoax, the collusion hoax.
So you're kind of correct on that, and I'll so firstly we will cover that in 1 second. Give me just 2 seconds here. So I want to be very clear for our listeners and our viewers that when I say there are a lot of wealthy families who control the world, I want to be very, very clear. I don't mean that they push buttons, that they call people and things happen the way they want them to. We have an extraordinarily strong democracy. It has fought against many people who have attempted tyrannical actions. The strength that our founding fathers built into our founding documents is astounding. And the size of the bureaucracy, which Trump is currently trying to shrink specifically to get rid of that oversight, but the amount of, let me make sure I keep my connection here. 1 second. I'm in a public library, believe it or not. So I am having to make sure my Wi-Fi stays connected here. This is a podcast studio that's in my local library. So I'd like to really give a shout out to all the libraries in the world. I'm not going to tell anybody where I am, but libraries are so incredibly important. And the fact that they can provide a service like giving me a free podcast studio today is really valuable. So,
Amen.
to our listeners, when I say they control the world, what I mean is they use their money to influence elections in free countries like ours, and they use their money to influence corrupt countries by just flat out paying people off and saying what they want to happen. That's the control I'm talking about. I don't mean they literally are like magical kings who can just make things happen the way they
Well,
want them
I
to.
agree with
You
you.
know,
I would just say there's another higher level. That's all. I'd say what I totally agree with you. I just feel it's a little bit more.
okay, fair enough. To get back to the Steele dossier was originally commissioned by Hillary Clinton's campaign, if I'm not incorrect. Steele was a respected individual. He's a former spy, has done a lot of very good work for the Western Hemisphere, is the way that I would put it. And really, the only thing that was incorrect in the Steele dossier was the claim about the golden showers, to my knowledge. And I'm always happy to have my listeners correct me if they have
Oh,
proof and
oh, absolutely.
sources.
Everything in the Steele dossier was made up, has been proven false, and you can go right on the
That's not
internet
true.
and bring it all up. It most certainly is.
No, what you bring up when you go look that up, you need to look at what the sources are. None of them are reputable. The
This is
golden
the
showers thing.
DOJ. No, I'm talking about the DOJ. The United States Department of Justice is where you will find all of those records.
Okay, give me 2 seconds here.
Yep.
So tell me what to search for.
Search for what is it?
It's okay. I'm almost there. All right, so I'm using Google's AI mode, AI overview, to look up DOJ records related to disproving the Steele dossier. So various records, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm
Yeah,
making
yeah.
sure I hit the important stuff. Various records and reports from the DOJ, the FBI, and government oversight bodies have documented findings that debunk some key allegations in the dossier. There's been the Durham report in 2023, a report from the IG in 2019, declassified FBI and Senate records in 2020, and the Danchenko criminal case in 21. Some of the corroborations, such as the FBI agents were unable to confirm any of the substantive
I'm talking about the
allegations.
recent stuff, the stuff that's come out in the last few weeks. That's the evidence we need.
Okay, so we'll dive deeper. Sorry to our
Or if you
listeners
don't
for
want to do
the
the Steele report, you can just pull up Comey. Whatever it is, the whole thing was a lie. Obama's been running the government for forever. Obama and Bush.
Wait. Are you suggesting Obama's still in control of the government
Oh,
that Trump is
absolutely.
in charge of?
Well, not now.
So Trump has no power.
No. Trump is in charge now. Obama ran it through Biden, is what
Okay,
I'm saying.
so
I'm saying Biden
that
wasn't there, okay? And Obama controls the Democratic Party. And Obama was at the meeting at the White House with Hillary and Comey and all the other conspirators when they made up the fake shit on Trump. This has all been proven. And if not, everyone's getting arrested. They are coming. There have been indictments.
okay, so
Everything's gonna be
it's
released. This is just stuff that
it's
I've said for
it's
a decade.
it's a completely fair thing to say that Obama has a tremendous amount of power over the Democratic Party. I'll absolutely cede that. Also, because integrity is very important to me, I'm going to tell my listeners I have not looked into the Steele dossier in a very long time because nobody gives a shit anymore except you for some
Yep.
reason. Nobody's talking about it. It doesn't have any effect on anything. The DOJ is not still after Trump for it. So why the fuck do we care?
We
However,
care
it does
because it was
appear.
all made up by Democrats to
Who cares if it's not affecting anything today? It's like
they
caring that you spilled milk
impeached
a
him.
week ago.
They
He's still in office. He stayed in office, just like Clinton.
he did.
So who gives a shit? Move on with your fucking day. So I'm looking at this. To my listeners, I want to very much admit it appears they were unable to devote any resources and also failed to come up with proof for most of the explosive allegations in the Steele dossier. So I just want to be really clear about that. As far as the media always lying about Trump, everything they say is a lie. And what you just said is that the arrests are coming. So let's use
Well,
a
the
little
arrests have
logic on
started.
this. Okay, so let's use a little logic on this. Who's in charge of the DOJ right now?
I forget.
No, I just mean Trump, right? Trump's in
Yeah,
charge of the
okay,
DOJ.
Trump, a Republican.
Correct.
Well, except for
And
the 45
Pam Bondi.
czars that Obama hired that we haven't fired all of them yet. But yeah,
So why not fire him?
Trump's in charge of. I'm
Why
sorry?
why not fire him? Trump loves firing people. He's fired almost everybody.
yeah.
Why not get rid of those Democrats?
Oh, absolutely.
So why not get rid of those Democrats?
Oh, he's working on it. All of the spies and the infiltrators from Obama, judges, they're working on removing the criminals.
Okay, so Pam Bondi and Trump are in charge of the Department of Justice, correct?
Yes.
And you just said that there is proof. The pages have been out there. You've been saying it for 9 years. All these people are going to get arrested. Trump has ultimate power. So does Pam Bondi. They're both clearly more than willing to step over constitutional bounds.
Oh no,
So,
absolutely not. They will not violate the Constitution in any way.
Oh, they
That
have
would be
multiple
Obama
times.
and Clinton. That would be all the Democrats that rigged the
Okay.
election.
regardless of what
after Trump,
Democrats
that-
did,
that
regardless of what
weaponized
Democrats
the
did,
FBI.
they're not in
Right.
charge anymore. The Democrats are not in charge anymore, buddy. So let's talk about
a
Trump.
lot of the Democrats are still in charge. All of the czars that Obama
And yet Trump
put-
won't do anything about it.
Oh, he's working on it. He's working on it. He's
What does he have
fired
to work
some of
on?
them. There's tons of spies.
So what is he? I mean, the proof is out there. The pages are out there. Why hasn't he acted on them?
It has to be
Tell
done
me what
right.
working on it means. What does working on it mean?
The military, the DOJ, the FBI, heavy surveillance are all working on the deep state.
The military better not fucking come after anything in my country because the military is for protecting me and fighting other countries. It is not for fighting citizens, regardless of whether they're criminals or not. So the military better stay the fuck out of it. The DOJ is more than welcome to provide proof and come with constitutionally allowed arrests. But the military is not for fighting fucking American citizens, period.
100% agree. Except in war and insurrection. Those are
There
the
is no
exceptions.
insurrection.
I'm sorry?
There is no insurrection. Show me anything that's happened except for protests. One thing. One thing that has happened that's on camera. One thing that is an insurrection that you would put your uniform back on and go shoot American
No,
citizens.
no.
What
No,
have
no,
they
no.
done?
I'm talking about the drug trafficking. I'm talking about the human trafficking. I'm talking
Okay.
about the national. I'm talking about. Let's take LA. Okay, so they
Okay.
have Sanctuary City. They have the place where ICE. They're a sanctuary city. The National Guard and the police, they found underground tunnels, servers. It's amazing.
Okay, so you said nothing. And now we found our way back to the meme that you were trying to bring up earlier. So we'll talk about that. So I posted an article that said that Trump is authorizing surveillance, and it was out again today, a Reason.com article. I encourage all of our listeners and viewers to go look it up. There was an article just today, which is the 23rd of October, on Reason.com, pardon me, that mentioned that Trump has indeed authorized surveillance of American citizens in order to aid ICE operations. Now, there is no modifier there. It doesn't say he's authorized surveillance of illegal immigrants. It says he has authorized surveillance of American citizens.
Oh yes,
Citizens
yes, that was
cannot be
Bush,
deported.
and that was Bush and
We're not talking about that.
Obama.
We're talking. Well, no, no,
No,
no,
I'm
no.
just saying they did
Stop.
that. That was 9/11.
Okay, look, I'm not Russian, and therefore I'm not playing the whataboutism game. Whataboutism, saying, well, hold on though. What about when so and so did this? That is a Russian propaganda tool. I don't play that fucking game. We're talking about now. We're talking about what you say recently. We're talking about Trump, who's in charge. Now,
Absolutely.
he has authorized surveillance of me and you. So when you said, yes, we're going to get every one of those terrorists, you are implying that the people he's surveilling are terrorists. Now,
No,
that's
no,
a
no,
big
no.
fucking
That's the
label.
whole misunderstanding we're having.
Okay.
That's where the
Okay.
misunderstanding came from. What I'm trying to say, and I don't agree with it. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm a constitutionalist. I don't like all the surveillance, but it's over. With Bush and Obama, we now have the right and we now have the technology to surveil everyone. You're being monitored 24 hours a day. Every single
Firstly,
person.
there is no right. It is occurring. You're correct that it's occurring, but there is no right to do it. In my opinion, it's illegal. However, they found loopholes.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just saying Obama gave the government the right to do that, and now we have the technology where it truly is. We're all surveilled 24/7. Everyone.
We all accept that.
Okay.
However, here's the thing. Okay, so here's the crucial difference, Lewis.
Yes.
If they surveil me right now and they decide, like, let's say the NSA is keeping tabs on me just because of whatever, who knows?
Absolutely.
And they decide to bring me up on some kind of charge in court, that surveillance will not be allowed as evidence because it was illegal surveillance. So, yes, they're performing it, but it can't be used, so it's useless. However, Trump is authorizing surveillance of basically any group. He's now named Antifa, which isn't a group, by the way. There is no group. There's no president.
Incorrect.
There's no
You're
corporation.
completely mistaken. They're
I'm
well
not.
funded. You are.
No,
They
they
are
are
a
funded.
terrorist, well
They are.
funded. They are not grassroots. We'll have to agree to disagree on this one.
No, we won't, because in this podcast we talk about facts and we hash them out.
Okay.
So let's say that you are a member of Antifa. This is obviously hypothetical. Everybody, Lewis is not a member of Antifa. Let's say that you go out and you hold a sign that just says Antifa, and you go to a protest. Okay? You can now be surveilled and you are labeled as a potential terrorist. That means you can be taken to Guantanamo for absolutely no reason because you were holding a sign.
like
Now,
the
wait.
way-
I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk, but one sec. You didn't report to anybody before you made that sign. There's no group leader. Nobody gave you a check. Now, somebody may have paid for some signs that are sitting on a table that you can pick up. Somebody may have helped pay for a bus to get you there, but they didn't give you a ticket. You just walked up and they said free bus to the protest, and you hop on. You have never participated in a meeting. You've never gone to a church basement. You've never been in a Zoom meeting with anyone else. You're just a person holding a sign that says Antifa. Now, that's what Antifa is. There is no LLC. There's no corporation. There's no office you can go to. There's no phone number you can call. There are Facebook pages that claim to be Antifa. But if I have a sign and I say I'm a member of ISIS, but I haven't ever met anybody in ISIS or been to the Middle East, I'm not a member of ISIS. So Antifa is decentralized. There is no office. There's no phone number. There's no LLC. There's no president. So it's an idea. So it's exactly like saying anybody who believes in QAnon, they are a terrorist, and we're going to be surveilling them, and we're going after them, and we might even just take them out of the country and, disappear them. Now, I know you would never put up with that shit from a Democrat. If a Democrat said, QAnon is dangerous to this country, and we are going to extradite them to Guantanamo, and they are a terrorist organization, the first thing you would say is, there's no organization. The fuck are you talking about? QAnon is a body of information. That's all it is. There may be some guy in charge of it, but I can't join QAnon. I don't pay members' dues. I don't have somewhere to send a check if I want to donate to it. Antifa is the exact same way. I can't send a check to Antifa to fund it. I can help pay for a bus. I can chip in. I can probably Venmo whoever is gathering people today for the protest. But there's no organization. It's just people, individuals who say, I, like my grandfather who fought in World War II, will not put up with fascism. And if you want to say, Trump is not a fascist, that's fine. Say that. But this is America. First Amendment gives me the right to say the simple phrase, I am anti-fascism, just like my grandfather who fought it in World War II.
100% agree.
So,
Absolutely.
so how can you be okay with something that when Democrats come into power, which is something that I think a lot of folks seem to forget, one day the tables will turn. Now, do you want the next Democratic president running the government the way that Trump is?
Absolutely.
Do you want the next Democratic Party running the DOJ the way that Trump is?
Absolutely.
Do you want to be, so you want to be in danger of being thrown in Guantanamo for being a QAnon
I want
member?
law and order. I want truth. I want
But
America.
QAnon is equal to Antifa.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So you're okay with being treated the same way for your beliefs?
No, your beliefs are fine. Antifa's fine. Protesting is fine. When Antifa does terrorist shit like shooting ICE agents, breaking in, just stopping law enforcement, doing.
So part of my response was in all of these recent ICE raids, a gun from the opposing party has been involved 2 times. In all of these raids, one time nobody was shot. The other time, one person was shot. And you know what? The news came out yesterday. Turns out it was friendly fire. It turns out that that ICE agent was not shot by an immigrant or by a detainee. It was friendly fire. So, you want to call these
How
people
about when they
terrorists and
shot
act like they're
two
organized?
immigrants in Oregon while they were
Well,
shooting?
say that again.
So they were shooting into the ICE facility, and they shot two illegals.
Yeah, no, yes, that was that. First of all, nobody knows what happened there. So, just the simplest question is, if the person is anti-ICE, why did they shoot the people who were detained rather than ICE agents?
Because they were
And
going.
we have no idea what happened there.
No, but we would assume it was Antifa going for
Well,
ICE
when you
agents.
assume, you
That
make an
would
ass
be
out of
the
you and me.
most logical assumption.
The most logical assumption if you shoot two illegal immigrants is that you are
They
MAGA.
couldn't see what they were shooting at.
Oh,
They shot
well, when you
into the
assume,
building.
as I said a moment ago, when you assume, you make an ass out of you
Right.
and me.
Yes.
We don't know what happened there, so don't bring it up as an example.
Not a problem.
I'm not.
Cool.
So the thing
So
is,
again, it's no problem with protest. It's terrorism. It's impeding law enforcement. You can demonstrate all you want. You can be Antifa. You can call yourself anything. You can dress up in a blue dress. You can do all that shit. Just don't do it around my kids.
would we agree that ICE and police officers are both law enforcement?
Absolutely.
Okay. And how many times a day do you think that a citizen gets in the way of a lawful arrest by a police officer? Probably 100?
I'm sorry?
Probably 100?
Probably.
Okay.
Nationwide?
And they should, yeah,
I
nationwide.
would say so.
And so they should be treated the same way you're suggesting that someone who gets in the way of an ICE raid should be treated?
I am.
Okay, so our whole country will be in jail.
No.
I mean, not the whole country, but we would literally run out of money for jail cells.
I'm not saying protesting. I'm saying you can't ram them. You have to let them get into their building. I think there's a difference in that. Law enforcement, you're allowed to film them, right? But you can't get in there and stop them, right? That would be a crime. So that's all I'm saying. And I totally agree with
Yes.
you with the QAnon and the Antifa. I don't want any shit. I only want criminal charges for criminals. We do have a First Amendment. It's extremely important. I support your right to hold Antifa and even think that it's anti-fascist, even though I believe it's not, even though that's what they say.
Okay, fair enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remember where we were, and I'm going to take the temperature down for a second. And would you like to have a 10-minute bathroom break, sir?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to stop the recording right now. Listeners, viewers, thank you so much for putting up with us for almost exactly an hour now. We'll be right back with you. We're taking a quick bathroom break.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Reason Rises. We are back from our little break there. I was just talking to Lewis, and what we're going to do now is just cover one simple question, and then I'm going to give Lewis some time to expand on anything that he wants to expand on that maybe we didn't cover in the previous bit. And we got another half hour or so to go. I'm just going to hit a few things that I wanted to make sure that I asked Lewis. So, Lewis, simple question. Are you happy with the way things are going in the United States right now, with Trump as president?
Yes, but first I want to say something. I do want to apologize. Sorry, I got a little emotional. I can't get
You've been
emotional.
doing great. You've
Okay.
been doing great.
So yes.
Okay.
Now you want to know why?
I do.
Economics, tariffs, crime, illegals. Well, we'll save the other you said you'd give me some time at the end. Please remind me if you want to add your notes. I would like to do a PSA. Um, Now I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
Oh,
Go ahead.
illegal immigration, crime, secure borders, and I don't know. The list goes on and on.
Okay, so yes, you are
And certainly
satisfied.
does not mean Trump is perfect.
Okay.
And boy, I would love to go over all these. Well, we'll get to that. So
Okay. So I might talk a little too much right now, but I'll try and truncate it. Um, so is it fair to say that you do not trust most of the information that most people receive?
yes, or wouldn't say most. I would say a lot.
Okay.
Absolutely. All
So
mainstream media,
all mainstream media.
most.
Okay. Do you consider Fox mainstream?
I would.
Okay. Um, so if you can never trust any information that you get, including your own when it's coming from your own sources, that means you can literally never know by the dictionary definition, you can never know anything for a fact. Now, so from my angle, for me to trust information or to believe something and to believe that I'm correct about it, I can't just believe it in my heart. I need to have it verified by other respectable people. And I think a lot of these conspiracies, let's take breast cancer for an example. I have heard many times that the doctors and researchers who are trying to cure breast cancer are not really trying to cure it because they make their money on treating it, not on curing it, right?
100%.
Yeah. Now, I have family members who are in that field. When we sit down at Thanksgiving, these are people who chose around 18, around high school age, that they wanted to help people. They wanted to make a difference and change the world. They went through years of incredibly difficult schooling. They carry student debt that goes on seemingly forever. They then don't get paid their worth and put in unbelievable numbers of hours trying to solve this seemingly intractable problem, which will hopefully soon be solved by AI because it's unbiased. But when somebody says that about breast cancer researchers, it makes me want to cry. It's so fucking insulting. And that's just one example. For any of these conspiracies to work, one has to assume that everybody involved is dastardly. And when I look at someone who has put their entire life selflessly into helping others, it's fair to say that some companies at the top may want to profit more from treating rather than curing. But the fact of the matter is, a cure for breast cancer would be world changing, and you would be so wildly rich and famous. It would make you much more money than you would make just continually treating when you're just one cog in the
No,
machine.
that's totally incorrect.
Well, firstly, you can't say that because neither of us knows how much money you would make from curing breast cancer. That's ridiculous. You don't know. How much money would you make if you cured breast cancer?
A lot, but far less than treating cancer.
As an individual?
No, as a collective, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think, let's say there's a magic pill, right? Well, first of all, I'll get back to that. With your family and friends, right? And you have to understand my position and not take it personally. I'm not attacking your friends. I'm
But
not, or family. Just hold on. Let me finish this thought. I love you. I love Democrats. I know the vast majority of you are good people. I know your family in the medical field are generally trying to do good. I'm talking about the way, way high ups, and the name escapes me right now. But it's the whole pharmaceutical industry that is screwed up. Again, Pfizer's been in business for 167 years and has cured 0 diseases. Again, let's say you got $1 billion for curing breast cancer. You just made a magic pill. All the people that get cancer with chemo and radiation and medication and hospitalization, it's far more than $1 billion. That's my point on that.
okay, fair enough. Totally fair. And here's how we can come to understanding on this, and I hope you take it to heart. That's only one example. When you post things on Facebook, you, and I am talking about you personally, you, Lewis Davis, are um, wildly not careful about who you're talking about. So you just said a truth. Okay, firstly, the truth is, if that conspiracy is true, it comes from the top. And the workers, the researchers, the doctors, they truly do believe that they are working towards the correct thing.
Yes, and they're doing it.
However, no, you're right, and I'm acknowledging that you are giving that to us. But the posts that you do and the way you express it, you include everybody. And you may not mean to. You're just talking about the top, right?
Oh,
So,
fuck.
but
Hey,
when
I'm
we
so
read
sorry.
that, everybody assumes you're talking about everybody, including the individual researchers. And so, in order to protect yourself and to be able to continue to express what you believe to be a correct conspiracy theory, which I might even buy into a bit, you need to be careful about how you're wording it. You need to say the companies at the top of the pharmaceutical industry are keeping this from happening because they make more money treating than curing. When you say that, you stop being shadow banned. You start showing up in people's news feeds again. You start getting thumbs ups. You start getting likes. But you are being so uncareful with who you talk about that you've literally turned an entire corporation against you. Like Facebook has banned you. Nobody sees your posts. If you do one little tweak, which is when you repost these things, you put a disclaimer, say, at the top and say, this is fucking true, but I'm just talking about the people at the top. You start showing up in my feed again, and everybody's feed. You start getting comments, you start getting likes, and people start to understand where you're coming from. So my urge to you as my friend would be, I want to see you in my newsfeed again. So if you want to start showing up again, be more careful with who you're talking about. Every Democrat is not a quote unquote member of Antifa. Firstly, nobody's a member of Antifa because it doesn't exist. But anybody who says Antifa is not a horrible person. They're not a terrorist. They're not looking to tear down the government. They are simply against bashing the Constitution, which you're also against. But the media has us convinced that one group is equivalent to the other. And then you wind up shadow banned because you lump everybody into the same group. All Democrats do not believe what you think they do. And when you apologized, your apology said, I was only talking about the mainstream Democrat liberals. That's a non-apology. You're talking about me. I'm one of those people, and I sure the fuck am not a terrorist. So that would be my ask of you going forward, would be save yourself by being a little more careful with your wording. If for no other reason than right now, no one sees your posts. Nobody but me. You're literally just talking to nobody unless I happen to look at your post. Otherwise, nobody's seeing them. So you're wasting your time. Stop wasting your time by being a little more specific about who you're angry at. That's what I would ask.
Well, that's fantastic advice, and you couldn't be more right. And I need to do a much better job on all of those, as well as some fact checking. I did post a couple that were wrong. I got corrected. Yeah.
That's really gracious of you to say. And one that I specifically wanted to bring up only because again, I genuinely am trying to protect you here.
Thank you.
Um, you made one post, and I'm sure you remember it. It was a graph of murders by race, and it had blacks
Yep.
way up here,
Yep.
whites right about here, and then everybody else. And it was moving through the years. You remember the one I'm
Yep.
talking about.
Yep.
Now, you do know that that graph was, while mostly accurate, it was a graph of who gets killed, not who commits murders. Did you know that?
I did not. I
So you
totally,
literally made the opposite point.
I did.
Yeah. So my question would be, why post that at all? I mean, and here's why I ask. Even if it's correct, with a post like that one specifically, even though it was misguided, what are you trying to get across to people? Why bring up race at all? Because it's such a touchy issue. So even if it's correct, why not go, you know what? That one's going to piss people off. I'm just going to move on to the next one because I got 100 others to post. So why not just stay away from the stuff that, even though you're not trying to be racist,
I'm
you know what
truly not.
I believe
I get
you.
accused of being racist, Nazi, homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic. What else
Well,
am I?
some
Uh,
of them are correct, and you and me can have a really in-depth conversation about all this because I think it's really important that people understand where a normal Democrat like myself is coming from. I'm not anti-trans, but I would believe that you and I probably have similar beliefs about trans issues.
I believe.
Islamophobia,
Uh,
Islam, Islamophobia. If we talk about that as a word, I think you and I might be pretty much on the same page. Gun control. I believe you and I are probably on the same page. So in our next session, if we get to have one, I would love to go over that stuff. But
Amen. I think that's great. I'm sorry, I need to ask you another question.
yeah,
I know you love your family and country. Do you believe in God?
I believe that it's
Higher
I
power, whatever.
I believe there's a higher power for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What's next,
Um,
brother?
well,
But yeah, that was a
I
bad one. And what was my point as far as, and I did a bunch of what could be seen as racist. Again, I have a black grandchild that I love more than anything. Tons of black friends, gay friends.
I know you're not racist.
I've gone to a drag show. I loved it. But if you put a fucking drag queen in a kindergarten classroom, I'm going to go fucking ballistic. Okay, but
Right.
these are the things that I believe Democrats want: higher taxes, men in the girls' locker room, men on girls' volleyball teams, men in the locker rooms of girls. Kids as young as 3 years old should be sexually mutilated because they felt they were a girl.
Okay, so
Um,
firstly, I have to stop you. I'm going to show you a graph, but firstly, a lot of the things that you just said have never happened. There's lots of websites and media that will convince you that they've happened. They literally just haven't happened. So you're literally angry about things that haven't happened.
are you
Like
t- are you
let's do
telling
a
me they're
great
not transitioning and sexually mutilating by drugs kids in the United States of America, and that number is not in the tens of thousands?
again. Well, firstly, no, it's not in the tens of
Oh, it
thousands,
is.
but it's really not. But we can talk about that in another in the next one. I
Okay.
want to cover this stuff because we will come to a lot of agreement. We will. A lot of the numbers that you throw out might be shown to not be true, but that doesn't
True.
change my opinion on them. So we will come to agreement on a lot of those things, and I do want to cover them in another episode. But I want to
Okay.
show you this graph real quick.
Yep.
So this is the graph I'm going to show you that I just sketched out. This is an L, that's an R. Okay.
Nice.
So when you say, I believe this is what Democrats want, okay, you're talking about these people right here. When I say, I think that Republicans want to start a civil war and that they are all belonging to a militia and blah, 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 I'm talking about these guys. When you say, this is what I believe Democrats believe, you're talking about this much of the country. Believe it or not, almost 50% of the country is Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about these people who don't believe any of this. They don't believe in having, like you said, men in dresses in kindergartens.
But all
They
their
don't
viewers
believe
support it.
that's not,
They,
it's
they,
just not, what the media that you're consuming leads you to believe things that are not true. They are
you're telling
true
me there
this much.
aren't boys on women's sports teams? There
No,
aren't?
and I'm, dude, again, I'm going to say we are going to cover that because we are in more agreement than you think.
Oh, no, I know.
I promise. So let's have another episode
Okay.
and let's dive into that. But forget trans issues. I'm talking about all issues. So this is the point I want to get across. You keep applying what is true about these people to all of these. These people do not believe what these people believe, just like these people don't believe what these people believe. So it's, what I want to get across to my listeners and the audience as part of this series, the most important thing I want to get across is we need to start understanding one another and seeing that even someone like you, and by somebody like you, I mean somebody who posts these MAGA memes and stuff and is really into this stuff, you and I can have a regular conversation. We can come to agreement on a lot of stuff. You even have numbers and figures and beliefs that are backed up. And I even had to cede at least one during this conversation and say, I was wrong. That is what used to make America America, is that people
Amen.
from all different beliefs came together, compromised, understood one another, and while they didn't disagree, while they disagreed, they still found a way to move forward.
Amen.
That's the point of this whole podcast. So, you know, it's really important that the listeners, and I'm not talking to you so much as I am to them, it's really important that people understand that the word liberal or Democrat applies to 50% of the country. It applies to your barista, your bus driver, your school teacher, your police officer, lots of them, believe it or not, are Democrat, your firefighters, your house builders. Believe it or not, just because you know how to work a screwdriver or work on a car or because you carry a gun does not mean that you are a Republican. And just because you wear Birkenstocks or because you're a vegan or because you can have fun at a drag show does not mean that you are a Democrat. So all of us need to make a real effort to be much more careful with our language and how broad we are making that speakerphone. When we are talking to everybody in the crowd as though they all equal the crazy asshole in the clown suit who's standing right in front of us, that guy angers us and he gives us an emotional response, and we have passion that guy in the clown suit should not be here at such a serious event. Just an example. And the anger that we feel towards this asshole in the clown suit, we can't decide to be so uncareful with our language that we then apply it to everybody standing in that group who are there just as angry at the guy in the clown suit as you are. Now, another thing I want to make clear to you and our listeners, and I hope we can move forward in the last 10 minutes, pardon me, is that these people are angry at these people. I'm angry at these people. These people are angry at these people. Why? Because they give all of us a bad name. Because they give fuel to the media to get us all against each other. Because they are the ones who can show up and make a lot of noise and get the most attention. And here's an example that I know you'll find pertinent. Do you remember the great flood of Sedona when you and I were OPCs
Oh
together? When
God,
the news
yes.
came down.
Uh-huh.
Can you
We
tell
had
me what happened?
people we had people come in a year later and said, I thought Sedona was destroyed. What
Right.
happened? I saw it. The news cameras were at my buddy's Bob's house, right on the creek, right there. And the way that they show it and manipulate it, oh, dear Lord, that's the point I'm trying to make. And I do agree we are being divided. I believe there are evil forces against the United States of America that are trying to divide us. I have a lot of other conspiracy theories, but we can get into that in another one.
Yeah, but I think we're in agreement in the example, and I'm going to get a little more into detail. We've got 12 more minutes, so I'm going to take two or three here. So for the listeners and watchers, Lewis and I used to work in the tourism industry together in Sedona, Arizona. This is a long time ago. Neither of us are in Sedona anymore. However, he's talking about his buddy Bob's house, but I'm going to talk about Tlaquepaque, which is a very famous shopping center. And we depend on tourism from Phoenix to come down to Sedona, or depended at the time. And the news vans showed up because we had a little bit too much rain, and a little part of the parking lot of this shopping center got flooded.
And
And
a
it,
couple cars went in the creek. A
to
couple
be
cars
fair,
went in the creek.
it was a significant amount of water,
Mm-hmm.
but it was limited to very, very few spots on the creek that people don't go to anyway. All of the tourism areas were still open. The floors weren't flooded, or the stores weren't flooded. My booth wasn't flooded. The
Right.
restaurants weren't flooded. But the news literally killed our income for a good month because everybody thought Sedona got flooded. It's gone. There's no reason to go there. Now, that is the news doing what their job is, which is getting as much listenership on something interesting, or viewership on something interesting, as they possibly can. And in order to do that, they had to search out and find the crazy place in Sedona.
And then get the right angle.
That's what's happening to America right now. Is they are finding the craziest place, by which I mean people, and that's who they're putting on the TV. And these people are making everybody on this side angry. And on
You're
this
so
side,
right.
they're showing just these people, and these people are making everybody on this side angry.
Do you remember the unracist remark that Trump made that everyone believes is racist? Those very fine people?
I do remember that.
And are you aware of the truth? Do you know what he really said? Or just
Well,
what you saw on the TV?
I can pull up the full quote with context. Do you want me to?
Oh, I would love it.
Sure. So, very fine people on
Eh,
both sides, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because what
Just
you
give us
saw
a moment,
on the
viewers.
media and what he said are totally different. But, for weeks, 24/7, that's all you see on the TV. But you are so right with that graph and everything else.
Yeah, so here's from PolitiFact. I hope people can agree that their literal only job is to fact check things. I have a transcript right here of what was said. Let's see.
I
And
think
by
it's
the
a
way,
sentence before or after the very fine people.
so it says right here, we wanted to look. So the next day, by the way, Trump responded saying, if you look at what I said, you'll see that the question was answered perfectly. And I was talking about people that went because they felt very strongly about the monument to Robert E. Lee, a great general. By the way, Robert E. Lee was an enemy of the United States. He was an insurrectionist. So you shouldn't be
Absolutely.
for him at all. He was terrible.
Absolutely. But he was a good
But whether,
general.
well, he was effective and he lost, by the way. Whether
He
you
did.
like it or not, he was one of the great generals. Trump also said he would defeat Biden very easily. So, PolitiFact says we wanted to look at Trump's comments in their original context. I've got 8 minutes here. It says here's a transcript of the questions Trump answered that addressed that controversy after it happened. Let me ask you, Mr. President, why'd you wait so long to blast neo-Nazis? He says, I didn't wait long. I didn't wait long. The reporter said 48 hours. Let's see. I'm going to look for, give me
No,
one
it's the
second.
TV quote. It's what they showed on TV and what he said immediately after. That's the whole thing. But whatever,
Well, I can't bring up what was on the TV. I can only bring up what he actually said. So, give me one moment, listeners. I'm being as quick as I can. I'm a quick typist.
thank you.
How was your break, Lewis?
Excellent.
All right. And by the way, I don't believe there were fine people on both sides. And I also believe that there were bad apples on both sides. But here's one thing I always want to remind my listeners is that that saying isn't there's a few bad apples in every group, so it's no big deal. The actual saying is a few bad apples ruins the barrel. That's what's important for people to know.
Very good point.
Oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to have to go to ChatGPT for this instead of Google. Give me 1 second, folks.
Let's
I should
just
have
skip
already
it,
had.
or we can
I,
bring it
I,
up
I don't
next
want
time.
to because it's you're
Okay.
correct, and I want to.
I want to see the TV video. I know we can find it on the internet. What was plastered on every single TV, and then what he really said.
We can both say that all that they showed on TV was he said there are very fine people on both
On both
sides,
sides. And then
and that
had it all set up to mean the worst when he said, except the neo Nazis or whatever else it was, that clarified everything. But it's just an
so
example of
well,
media
yeah,
manipulation.
okay. So if it's
Um,
just an example, that's fine. But I want to be clear that sometimes it wasn't manipulated because you're trying to make one point, and I think you're making the opposite accidentally. But here it is with context. So he said, you had some very bad people in that group. That's what you're trying to get across, that he did say that. But
that's what
you
I was.
also, that was your point, right? Was that he did say there were bad people.
Yes, and that was never. It was just the blurb that they said when he said, "Well, there are some bad people." And again, I don't even remember. I'm just, bringing it up.
Well, the
But
exact
yes,
words were you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in
yes,
that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. A few minutes later in the same exchange, he added, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had many
it's
people in that group other than neo Nazis and white nationalists. Now, in the other group, also, you had some fine people. So, in our final, I think that's a great way to finish here. I want to say Lewis is absolutely correct, and that is an example from the other side. I brought up an example of where you believe things about Democrats. You brought up an example of where I believe things about Trump or Trumpists or Republicans. And all of us, it's so incredibly important, my listeners and viewers. I'm sorry if I'm too close to the mic here. It is so important that you internalize the only way to get accurate information is to find good sources who actually have people on the ground who view it with their own eyes, not influencers, not random websites, not I heard, not I saw one time, not I have a friend who said, but actual sources on the ground with evidence, with photos, with audio, with video, who were there, who documented, who put their reputation on it. And that's the most important thing, listeners and viewers, that we often forget. These people, reporters, influencers, websites, whoever they are, they have a reputation to protect in order to continue making money and keep their job. Internalize that. How much does an influencer care about being correct? They don't care about their reputation. They don't give a shit if people say they're wrong. The more engagement they get, the more money they make. The more you tell them they're wrong, the more money they make. That's their motivation. Not to be correct, not to be factual. Their motivation is to get as many clicks as possible, good or bad. That's how they make money. Reporters on the ground, on the other hand, only make money if they are correct and they are accountable to us. And if you continue allowing certain outlets and sources to be incorrect constantly, but you still consume their news, they still make money despite being incorrect. Other organizations do the opposite. It's up to you, dear listener, dear viewer, and my friend Lewis, to determine which of those sources have the correct motivation, which of them are making money by being right versus which of them are literally making money on being wrong and just angering you. And I think that is part of the point of this podcast. I want to give such an incredible thank you to Lewis Davis for being my guest today, for getting through the emotional parts of it, for allowing both of us to agree with one another and see each other's points, and that we can agree to talk again, which I'm really so excited about. I'd love to have
Me too.
a number two. So
Thank you so much, Doug. And it was a pleasure, and I appreciate it. And again, it's about bringing the country together. We all need to do what's right for ourselves while not hurting anyone.
that's the basic idea. So thanks, Lewis, for your time, for your energy, for being a fantastic guest. We'll have you on again. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to Reason Rises. Remember to like and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll be seeing you soon.